So moved.
Second.
Item A.
All in favor?
Aye.
Association.
Item on the docket, approval of the agenda.
Move we approve the agenda.
James, Dave, all in favor? Aye. Consent items, any questions?
Mine were thoroughly answered. Yeah.
No questions answered on the costumes, so.
How was that? Did you send that to the group?
No, I just
Okay.
sent it to you. So no, I think it's great that they're putting that money back into the greenhouse, because I know the kids enjoy that sale. I know it's a heck of a lot of work for them and whatnot, so. All in favor of that, because then Dave had a question about that, so points well taken. Mr. Potter. Is Rob in here? Okay. I just had a question on why we're at ballot for the fourth consecutive year for girls soccer. I'm not the first person to ask that. And it's minor.
Facilities.
Yeah.
They were
Well stated, Mr. Potter.
here, so. They're arriving, right?
Yeah. Any questions on resignations, appointments, anyone? Calendar? Comment? Vendor partnerships, AAA purchase agreement?
Again, let's take advantage of their soliciting and good prices. The second one, Ankeny, there's not an actual agreement form that we have to sign, but again, approve that we will continue sharing swimming with them. And then number 3, Camp Wesleywood, 6th grade, correct? Mr. Richard still staying in 6th grade?
Yeah, 6th grade, but we no longer are staying overnight. We are doing something different this year than last year. Last year we took them both on 2 days and got everything in. This year we're taking half the class, so we don't need the amount of time in each station and different things. So each group will go, and then we'll stay till like 4 o'clock and come back at 5. So they'll still get everything, and then we cook out for them now and stuff. And then the day that they're not going, they're going out to Garden for Good to do the planting and stuff. So we kind of got it where they're twofold there.
Speaking of that, do we promote that Garden for Good for everyone? I mean, is that, is Jen?
You know, like a PR,
Yeah.
We do that, it's always a newsletter every year that we're out there.
Okay, all right. And then I'm assuming with the rock climbing and all that, you're gonna have permission slips. for the-
Yeah, if there's waivers that they gotta fill out for that. Yep.
Very well. Okay. Have a motion to approve the consent items?
So moved.
Second.
Gene, all in favor? Aye. Public comments or communications? Jody?
I wanted to talk to the school board. My daughter is a junior. She's been in North Polk since 2nd grade. She's had increasing anxiety since middle school. And it's been getting worse and worse. As a junior this year, she's gone from being an almost 4.0 student to almost all B's and F's. So that right before spring break, we asked about putting her into an alternative program to kind of give her a break to work on some of her anxiety issues. Up to that point, working with Mrs. Allen had been very good. She seemed to partner with me well as far as giving me information. And then when we asked about that, I was told we were going to have to meet with Mrs. Phillips. From that point on, it has not been a good experience. They didn't want to put her into the program that we were asking because they didn't consider her at risk enough, even though she'd gone from being an almost 4.0 student to all D's and F's. They didn't want to do it because they said she wasn't at risk enough. So they said, you can do her programs online through us, and then she would be able to get out of the school environment, which is what was stressing her out. There's been a couple classes that I'm still trying to get answers for. I repeatedly asked for answers. I get answers with no explanations, and I'm asking for your help to try to get some answers so that we can get on with this. The school year's almost over. The class that's biggest in question right now is she was taking a DMAC applied math class that was taught on campus here at North Polk. I have been told by multiple DMAC administrators that if she was taking it on their campus, strictly through them, they would allow her to finish the class. However, administration is telling me she's not allowed to finish the class, which is going to make an F on her high school transcript, an F on her college transcript. She was doing well in that class. It was her highest class that she had. It was a B. And I'm trying to get answers, and I'm wanting her to be able to complete this class. So I was hoping I could try to get some help from you guys to get answers as to why they're making the decision that they will when they say, no, it's not going to be allowed. Because when I ask for an explanation, I don't get an explanation. I have asked this week, and unless he answered me in the last hour, I have not gotten the answer I asked for yesterday or the answer I asked for Monday. So that's what I wanted to ask you about, is if you could somehow, it may not be able to be resolved tonight, but if you could help me get that answer as to why they're making the decision they are, when DMAC says they would allow it to be finished.
So I think Dr. Martin replied to you on an email on Thursday, April 11th, correct? And kind of explained what the guidelines for the Department of Education are. Am I correct?
On that, he was saying that I was going to have to be teaching classes to her at home, which that was the first I had heard, which is fine. I took the Spanish that we were debating over also off the table. I found her some Spanish curriculum. I've gotten the core competencies off the North Polk website of what she needs to know for Spanish 3. So now my question regarding that class is she going to be able to take the competency class at the end of the year, or test at the end of the year, to go on to Spanish 4. And then she's also doing a life skills test where she's working on some of her stress and anxiety issues.
Okay.
So that, I'm doing that. So I've said, okay, that opens him up where he should be able to provide more classes for her, and she should be allowed to finish that class. Mr. Ehrlichman has sent her the last unit. She's been working on it and got it almost done where she can turn it in, take the test, and get the next unit. But I need to know that she's going to be allowed to get that credit and complete the class. Up to this point, they just keep saying, no, it's not going to be allowed. But yet the teacher was kind enough that he, as in the beginning of this, as we were trying to sort it out, I emailed, do you have homework she can work on until we get this figured out? And so she's got the work. She's been doing the work.
So let me ask this question then. The anxiety, is that being, you said you're addressing it?
She's been on anxiety medication this year, and she's in therapy as well.
But what, you said the school environment led to this. What part of the school environment have we?
I don't contribute at all to the school environment, but it seems to be the school environment where she has her issues. When she's at home, she's more relaxed. When she's at school, she doesn't like being here. She says that she feels like the school is suffocating her. She doesn't like being here. She's drowning. Up to the point where I pulled her out, it was nightly begging, can I just drop out? This is a child that her freshman year spent the entire year researching colleges and careers. Her sophomore year was going on college visits. This year, all she wants to do is just drop out of school. She doesn't even want to graduate.
But what aspects of the environment, have we worked on that aspect, or what's?
That's what I'm trying to figure out what it is. Because I know with her, it takes one thing to trigger. Like chemistry, she did fairly well in first semester. Right after the semester, they did an experiment where they dealt with acids. Somehow in her brain, she's convinced she's going to die from working with those acids. She can tell me that, Mom, I know this is stupid, but yet she can't let it go. So it's little things like that that will trigger her anxieties and that she can't let go. As far as what it is specifically about the school environment, I can't tell you. That's what I'm still trying to get to the bottom of, which is why I pulled her out to give her the break she needs and to let her relax. Because when you have a child who gets to the point where you're saying they're worthless, they're not going to amount to anything, and that it doesn't matter anyway, you want to get them out so that they can try to get the help they need.
Sure, I understand that. Cynthia, Dan, do you have any other?
Cynthia and I met today, we'll be responding to her as soon as I get it typed up.
Okay, we obviously carbon copy the board on that.
Sure.
Can you? Okay, all right. So Jody, what from in the time period between now and when Dan, Dr. Mark sends you that response, what do you need me to do, or do you want him to carbon copy me? Obviously carbon copy me on that.
Because I'd like to know what the response is now. I mean, I think that's a rather cryptic answer from him at the moment.
Okay.
And it's not giving me the explanations that I'm wanting behind their decisions.
But you realize we are tied to the Department of Education standards, right? What we can and can't do as a district.
And I don't feel like I'm asking for anything outside of what should be allowed. I mean, if this was something where she was in a car accident, couldn't come to school for a while, or had some, God forbid, horrible illness diagnosed with where she couldn't be at school, they would mostly likely say, here's your schoolwork, do it as you can. But this is mental illness that they can't see and they don't understand. These two don't deal with my child on a daily basis. They don't know the changes that she's gone through. And so I don't feel like they're adequately addressing it. I feel like they don't feel like it's a big deal because they're not acting in the best interest of her and thinking of her. It's just more and more making her feel like school doesn't care about her and that she doesn't matter to anybody here. And it's not helping the matters.
Yeah, what's the time frame on getting that done?
Tomorrow. I don't think there's a student that's ever walked through these doors that there has been a staff member, I mean, we do care about our students, top to bottom. It doesn't.
And I know that. I mean, I don't mean to cut you off. I know that. I grew up out here. My kid, Brianna, when she graduates next year, will be the 23rd person from my family to graduate from North Polk since 1965. I moved out here after my divorce because of the school district and because of the teachers, which is one of the reasons it's so hard right now to accept that the administration does not seem to care about what they're doing to her right now.
Okay. I can pretty much guarantee you 110% that there isn't a person in this room that doesn't care about your daughter and that she succeeds.
And we'll see what their answer is tomorrow.
Okay.
And a note from, speak for Jan, this is the first I've heard of this, so I'm completely unaware of why you were here and what you had to say, so.
Me too, and I need to see the response to be able to evaluate it a little bit.
Okay, I would appreciate any help I can get. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Administrator and director reports. Cynthia, anything else you want to add to what you are?
Yeah, so if you've got any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, additionally, we finished up registration for mostly, we've got just a handful of students yet that we've got to get the final course registration in, but we'll be meeting with the faculty Monday morning to review what courses will be offered based on enrollment, starting to look at who we have available to teach those and where we can teach those, and then putting together master schedules. So that's really been taking up the majority of the time since Iowa assessments finished up last week. Beyond that, interview processes, things like that have been happening, but we're just gearing up for the final month of school. So next month you'll have course information from me along with year-end things, graduation list to approve, things like that. So.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to kind of highlight our fifth grade experience days, just to give you guys an idea of what some of our transition process we do with the fifth grade class. Monday, Wednesday, we brought up 3 sections, and central teachers came up, Miss Fetters came up, and she's been awesome. I mean, all the teachers have been great. We take them a tour of the building, kind of go through some expectations, let them eat in the cafeteria, which they love. I think they want to like get all the extras. They can't yet, so. But we go through all that, and it's really neat to see them. They're always very excited to be in the building, and I think it does help them to get them in the building, walk around, show them kind of where some of their classrooms are at, and give them a little experience day. So I want to thank Morgan for opening up time so the kids can come up, and teachers, and thank the teachers too for that. So. Lastly, just Iowa assessments went really well. We had a little bit different schedules. I want to thank our teachers for being flexible. It was a little bit different not having the time. It's a good thing, but then you have a lot of kids that don't get done. So how do you get those kids done? Because they're supposed to get done before they leave for the day and different things. So I want to thank Colleen, middle school guidance counselor, because she spent a lot of time in organization and with doing it on paper pencil. One thing I don't think we knew was each booklet was a different test. So, which typically they came and it was all the same booklet. So that was a lot of like getting booklets back, getting new booklets organized. So But it went well, kids did really well, kids tried hard, had some snacks in the morning and stuff, so it's a good celebration.
Do you know what percentage you got to complete it?
We still have one kid left, so, but everybody else
So very good.
completed it, yeah. So we had one student that was gone like 3 or 4 days the whole time. Yep. No, sorry, I gotta leave just a little bit early tonight, more than usual, but.
Yeah, I'll echo Mr. Richards' comments. I tagged along on a couple of the tours today. He was so engaged in his tour, he didn't see me up there, but
I didn't.
this bald head, he missed it. That was great. I can't thank Mrs. Fetters, Central's counselor, Ms. Tanyag, the middle school counselor, and I was also in Mr. Wolf's, one of his groups today too. Just the energy that the fifth graders had walking through, the excitement, really looking forward to next year, and they did a great job of setting the stage of what middle school life will be like. So I think that's a great thing that will continue. Also with the Iowa statewide assessments for student progress, have to publicly thank Miranda and Michelle Fetters for all of their work. One thing about elementary teachers is they always want to do things the right way. And so there were lots of questions about just things being new, and our staff was resilient, and we implemented the new rules, if you will, with ease, and we are all completed. We had one third grader who was in Ireland last week. So lucky for her. She's finishing up the assessments the next couple days, so we'll be finished and ready to UPS those out to the testing center to get graded. So with that, sorry for the bombard of all the activities and things going on at Central. Just want to invite you to any and all, whatever looks, if you're able, if your schedule will allow, especially the Celebrate Central Day, the thing we kind of brought back to life a few years ago. It's a great day to just celebrate a year's worth of hard work, and yeah, just a lot going on. So I'd open up to any questions that you might have.
How was BizTown? How'd they like it again this year? Did they change the format a little bit?
No, it's
No.
it's still the amazing event that it always has been. It's been wonderful.
Great.
The engagement of the day. I wish that all school days could be as engaged as all of those fifth graders are. Both those days we went down there. It's just the activity is just it's so real life and so worthwhile. It's great.
And they had a really hop-in playlist that they would play. So that was really fun to see, and their playlist, and it was awesome.
I just wanted to highlight on the last bullet in my report about the Young Athletes Day for Special Olympics. Brandy Whitehead and Amanda Hoganson have started a delegation with the Special Olympics organization, and it was such a fun morning. The kids had a great time. We kind of started small with just a couple of first grade classes, and then inviting some students with special needs, because we didn't quite know what to expect the first time going to this day. And it was truly wonderful. A lot of bonding with students, and they were cheering each other on and just enjoying the activities. So it was a very positive experience. So I think that's great for the district to have that up and going.
I would also say, just with the statewide assessment, I know that the state was trying to cause extra anxiety. I think our staff handled it really well. Right now we're in the middle of boxing everything up, ensuring that all the makeups are done, but we've had a really great success with that, and I think that also, just thanking the parents for getting their students to school and ensuring that they're there for testing as best as they could has been awesome and a big part of that success. So that it's been great. I had a schedule where I was out and around every building
Tried to hit 2 buildings each day to be floating around and just in constant communication with them, and really went well. So yeah, definitely props to the leaders and our leaders in each building, our teachers, and also our administrators with that. Outside of that, I don't really have anything new. We're just kind of diving into some things related to our curriculum cycle and kind of zeroing in on that and how we can make that better for our system and maybe drop a couple of years off of that cycle. There was a resource that I put in there that they shared at Curriculum Network that a lot of schools are using when adopting materials, really looking at the alignment and different things. It's already kind of done for you to look at some of those reports. And conversations also with tech and some of that integration. Had a great conversation this morning. Patricia at the middle school has done a lot of work on some of the standards in addition to Scott, just trying to prep for that next tech meeting that we have related to that.
So I know you're ready to be done thinking about the Iowa stuff, but how do you think we're setting up for next year?
Yeah, I mean, we just had some conversations about that this year, or just this morning. I would like to send a link out, actually, and work on a Google form to send out to buildings to respond when we do well, what maybe we didn't do well, and use some of that data to then set up for some things related to next year. I think the biggest thing is to rally around some of the network of people that have went before us and implemented. I know that they have a list of things that to consider that they would do differently had they had more time. So I'm definitely wanting to rally up with some of those individuals and see some of the things that they, since they implemented the computer this year, and then bring back to start earlier. I think if we want to keep our window where it is in April, that's really going to back us up probably to start locking in what our schedules are so we can drop test sessions in. I mean, you know probably a lot about that, James, and what you guys experienced, but ahead of the testing window. So like even 4 to 6 weeks ahead of that, start working on dropping in test sessions, but locking in the schedules. I know that that's been shared. And then some of the different features on the computers to ensure that the students know how to use those functions. So I don't know how that went with you guys, but that's something that...
Yeah, I could probably tell you things not to do.
Right? Well, that's going to help us as well. So
I think from the student end, it went pretty smooth.
Yeah.
It was just a lot of front-loading, a lot of definitely some PD time to get teachers accustomed to how to administer it and do some practice exams with some kids beforehand, and that was probably the toughest part, but actual test day, it was fine.
Yeah. I think the things that I think about with the paper that we just didn't have an option, because you have to put in, like if you needed large print manuals, we had to put in an order like a week ahead and then they come. So it's kind of like, oh, why don't they come? You know, like they tell you not to put them in until just ahead. But then, you know, if you're on the computer base, you just go in and then magnify that print. So I think there's definitely some, you know, sleepless nights that you have with paper that, you know, you just go in and set it and it's magnified for that student. So that's an example, but I definitely think that we're going to have to dive it in. Curriculum Network has had people share each time, and that's been great as they've been prepping each month. And so I've taken some pretty good notes in that regards. So it's just going to be partnering with this guy.
There's been a whole, on the tech side, there's been a whole stream on the listserv that the tech directors are on. And it seems to me the biggest complaint, or not complaint, that's a strong word. I think the biggest challenge that everybody had was the front end of everything.
Right.
And my hope, I don't like hoping about these things, but my hope is that Pearson is listening, and I think they are. And my hope is that they will change some of the things that those schools ran into, especially on the front end. And then it sounds like the schools that were a little bit distrusting of the connections and running a caching server, they probably ran into the biggest issues, which then every school that ran a caching server pretty much said that I've seen they will not run a caching server again, because that actually caused more problems than not. So, and that was the conversation. I had a conversation with 2 different tech directors that ran caching servers, and they pretty much said they wouldn't run them again. So I'm kind of keeping a pulse on that side. So on the tech side, we should be fine. And then with the devices that we get, it should make scheduling a lot easier also.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think our window might look a little bit larger next year just because of like making sure we have devices and different groups being able to use that. So we're gonna have to look at that for our overall testing window for next year. But I think with the addition of some of the Chromebooks that we're gonna be adding to, I think it's gonna help absolutely with that.
I think it was a good call on you guys' part to just pause it for a year and
Yeah.
let some other people be the guinea pigs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the next round of testing is when? Next year at the same time?
So we can set our window. We can't do it any earlier than the first week of March, and then it has to be wrapped up, I believe, like the first or second week of May. So within that window, we can set how we want that to look. If we want to go, there were some systems that did all middle school one week, all high school the next week, all elementary the last week, or, you know, they kind of ordered it that way so that they could see, and by the time high school went, it was really easy. You know, it's just different ways that people approached it, but I know we can have our window look a little bit larger.
So we have about 10 months to get all the bugs worked out, Scott?
Yeah, it's not even. I'm sure that what they'll do is what they did again. They'll probably work into summer, and then we'll go through that process again in the fall. But they'll probably bring us in. I'm guessing they'll probably bring us in for the different changes. The only thing that I've done proactively is the AEA Jeff Weinberg, right? Our AEA tech coordinator. I had a quick conversation with him, and because I know that he just has more conversations with the Pearson guys, of saying, I would like to see an ability for us to be able to use the tool more often, and I think that if Pearson could be more proactive in that, that'd be awesome, so that our kids could have more practice using the test nav system, because I do think there are some nice features on there that will help them take the test better. And so outside of just practice tests, how can we actually utilize that for maybe doing some formative assessments inside our own classrooms? So if they could set that up, that would just be really nice, that we could actually utilize their tool and be utilizing the same tool that we're going to test them on later.
So the kids are familiar with it,
Yeah.
how to operate it.
Yeah. And the rest of it, from a technology side, we're fine. And it's just and the more devices we'll have, that will help scheduling. And then all of a sudden, it's a logistics issue after that.
Yep. Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
MJ?
Nothing more to report, just that meeting with all the groups and programs one more time this year in May, and a lot of reflection and a lot of starting to plan for next year. So it's kind of exciting to get that set up and get things rolling so they're ready to go first day of school.
Thank you. All right, supervisor reports. Andy?
Just one thing to add. I didn't include all of the things unearthed at the spring startup. There were a number of items that always kind of rear their head when we do spring startup. Had a couple of heat exchangers that were found deficient over at West that are going to need to be fixed on rooftop units. But other than that, everything is, I guess, as good as you can expect. And then the hole is finally filled in as of tonight over where the power blew. That only took 2.5 months to get filled in, so great thing.
Any word from Harper Steam Boiler?
I'd give up on that.
Okay. All right.
For $750, I finally said, okay.
Yeah, because I had talked to you about
Yeah.
me stepping in, but that's kind of a pure conflict of interest.
Yeah,
Since I deal with them on a daily basis. And
I fought the fight, but You know, finally, you just gotta cut your losses and move on, because I couldn't convince the guy,
Yeah.
I even had him talk to the tech. I just couldn't move him off that square.
No, you're fine. Thank you. Appreciate your efforts.
The certified budget is all done and submitted, so we're good there. I'm gonna be out of the office for, I just realized, looking at my schedule, next week, 3.5 days. There's a benefits, workshop at Plain Meadows for half a day, and then I have Spring Academy at Iowa State, and that's part of my, standard license. And then the next week, I just got an invitation from Forecast 5 for, they're calling it District's Financial Health Workshop. And so that'll be on that following Monday. And it's it looks like it's a 2-hour class. But last week when I had, was at one of my, the Forecast 5 users group, they were starting to show us some of the new things that they have available, and I'm kind of excited to get those to show you guys. There's some graphics and stuff that might make things look be a little easier to read rather than just a bunch of numbers on pages.
Sure.
So.
Great. Thank you.
Hey, question on the yellow folder?
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't that like 15 grand? Or,
It's not cheap.
It's not cheap.
yeah, so are you getting?
What we're waiting on is they're sending up a truck. They're sending up a truck from, Texas. And so they need to have 4,000 boxes. We have like 150 for them, but they're coordinating it all around to like South Dakota, North Dakota, Minnesota. They're making a big loop. And so we're basically just waiting on them. Once they get it there, then it'll go into a big storage facility, and then they'll just have people there scanning all of these documents. So it's a coordination thing with other schools.
In the contract though, was there a date to be done, a date completed, or?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
It was just a matter of,
Data agreed upon.
Yeah.
They thought they'd be.
and if we need any of that information that we send with them, until they get it scanned in, basically every box that they will pack the boxes, they will have some kind of an indexing. And so if we need something, we can call them and say, we need to have such and such, and then they will get it for us.
How many boxes of records are we talking?
150 is what we're looking at right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Good to get it out of here.
Yeah.
Is it, where's it going, MDS? Down in Euclid? Or where are we, where is Yellow Polo?
They're in Texas.
They're gonna ship it down to Texas?
Yeah.
They're coming with a
Yeah.
truck to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, and they're bringing a semi, is what I understand, but they are coordinating it so that they take a full load back, which they said is 4,000 boxes.
Sure, okay.
So.
Okay, all right. Jim's not here.
I got a question. Dan, when is this next, so you have a monthly emergency planning meeting?
Yeah.
When is the next one?
Look at the second. Friday of the month, I believe. Yep, second Friday of the month.
What time and?
We start meeting at 9 a.m.
How long does it last?
Till we're done talking by noon for sure.
So the 10th?
The 10th, correct.
Interesting decision on that.
One look.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to make it, but I'm sure.
Talking about potential requirement for some improved communication with the sheriff's department.
Have you checked into our NRA one?
No.
One for when it's closed. It's called Safe Shot, I believe. Dave, isn't that what it's called?
Sounds right.
Because I know they, depending what your political affiliation and all that is, and I know they do go off a lot of money. Mr. Groudon, anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think so, unless you have any questions, kind of keeping just a lot of balls in the air there, but I think we're just kind of chipping away at each one as they go along.
So, are we done with a lot of our upgrades, or?
Yeah, we're, well, let me qualify, which upgrade are you talking about? Well, I mean, it depends on which qualifies as an upgrade. For example, in my bird report there, we're recommending a new phone system.
Yeah.
Ms. Johnson and I were able to negotiate down the original price, so we're feeling really good about where that is. We can't install that right now. That'll be a summer project to install.
Okay. No, I was more talking about our network infrastructure and all that. Are we, because I know we've been sinking a lot of money into it.
Right, so
I'll be sitting on that.
Yes.
Those were finished in December.
But anything else major?
So
We've got a firewall coming up this summer, firewall upgrade, which is just, it's at the end of its 5-year life. So we either have to do a subscription upgrade or replace the box, so it'll just depend on what the prices come in.
Okay.
But as far as infrastructure, you're pretty much finished with that major project set.
Okay.
Except for the cabling, which will also happen this summer.
Sure. Great.
Cabling and phones.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
We'll also have, yeah.
So it seems like you guys are on top of it, something's getting past its useful lifetime, we get it replaced, so we
Yep.
don't have to catch up 5 years later and pay twice the price and all that. Okay. All right.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
All right, appreciate your help. Mr. Pearson?
The only thing I'd add to what we've got on here is that I've got some capacity issues coming up for some buses over to Polk City next fall with the incoming 5th graders, and I'll probably need to add a route and plan on proposing that to the board next month. And the other thing is, it's been going really well in the spring. We've been busy, but tomorrow night's the busiest night I've ever had at North Polk. We got 26 buses with activities and routes, 4 Suburbans and 3 minivans all at the same time. So I need, including coaches and things, I need 33 drivers.
With $500 in software help?
Yes.
Perfect.
Is that
Mike, I appreciated your response.
Well, you're
That was
welcome.
More than I anticipated, but very good.
You bet.
You want me to drive? I can drive the school, I can drive the soccer.
You could drive the golf team over to Pleasantville.
Oh, wait, no, I got a home game.
I think I'm okay.
Okay, perfect.
I've been.
Just here to pitch in wherever I can.
I appreciate that. This is my best year of being staffed, honestly, or I wouldn't even be able to attempt this.
Yeah, I was giving Hoppy
Yeah.
some crap. I said, you should be one of our coaches. You sat through enough soccer and basketball games that you should probably be able to coach. Okay, all right, moving on. Dan, any updates?
I'll wait to do mine, go with the negotiations.
Okay, all right, new business. Summer band lessons. Any questions or comment on that?
Is that all it is? There wasn't anything in Dropbox?
It's right in the, on there.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
It's hours and
Just the
their
band lessons.
Yep.
Band lessons.
Do you have to prove that?
Yes.
You need a new motion.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. In favor?
Aye.
All right. Exempt session, going into negotiations. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.